Hello everyone. So now we are going to start our module 2. Till yet we have discussed about in our previous session or videos, we discussed about the cloud computing, everything about the cloud. Now we are going to complete our cloud infrastructure and virtualization part. In this module, we'll cover cloud infrastructure and virtualization. So cloud infrastructure and virtualization are the foundational element of modern IT system, which enables scalable, efficient, and flexible computing environment. So what we can say now, cloud computing is nothing without infrastructure, having the knowledge of infrastructure and virtualization. That are the basic elements of modern IT system, which give us the cloud computing technology. Okay, so we will discuss about what is cloud infrastructure first. So cloud infrastructure comprise of hardware and software components that necessary to support our cloud computing service. Means cloud computing is service, but at the back end, the basic concept comes is the cloud infrastructure, which include all the hardware and software components. So before understanding or saying about the cloud computing, the first we need to be familiar with the infrastructure part. Okay. So what are included there in the infrastructure? That include which servers, what is the storage system there, what are the networking equipments. First is the these things. Then to virtualize them, how we can virtualize our server. Virtualization is a topic that we will discuss in the same module. In detail, we will discuss everything. And what are the basic management tool behind that? So all these things, servers, storage systems, networking equipment, what we are using, which virtualization software are using, and management tool to manage all these things become the part of infrastructure. By combining all these things, one word that is known as the cloud computing. So individual cloud computing is nothing. It is a combination of multiple things. First thing is infrastructure, then virtualization, then management tool, then the other resources, that server, storage system, which networking equipment we're going to use. So together, all these things, they facilitate the delivery of computing resources over the internet that allow the user to access and manage the services on demand. So the first component that come in the cloud computing is the infrastructure, physical equipment, management tools, and virtualization software. Hope clear to you? The basic thing about cloud infrastructure. Okay. So this was the first thing, first component about the cloud computing. The next is the virtualization. It's a big topic that we will discuss. Okay. What right now I just want to give a basic definition of virtualization. Is a technology that create virtual version of any physical resource. Like we have one server, we have storage devices, we have network devices, we have one physical component that can be the server, one storage. How we can create the virtual version of that? For example, you have one hard disk in your laptop. Physically it is one, but virtualized, what how we can do? Okay, C partition, D partition, E partition, we can create multiple virtual partition in that. So in operating system, it will show you as a different partition in your hard disk. But physically it is a one component. In the same way, we can have a one physical box, one physical server, but inside that can be multiple virtual machines. Getting some point? So this is the virtualization. Physical box will be one, but inside that we can create multiple virtual machines. How we do that? By using a software called hypervisor. Virtualization allows multiple virtual machines to run in a single physical machine and each operating independent. Physically it is a one machine, physically it is a one box, but according to the user requirement, we can create multiple virtual machine inside that, and each machine is working independently from each other. Suppose for one, we can use Linux operating system. Other require Windows operating system. Other require some another operating system. So each virtual machine is independent. Like in a building, having multiple stories here, different floors, there are different flats. In each flat, independent families living here. Each is living independent from each other. That is also virtualization. So this abstraction enhance the resource utilization, scalability, and flexibility in cloud computing. You can take so many examples nowadays. Like in the older time, when there is no concept of societies in the market. What the point? Each one has its own individual home at the same space. But now, on the same space, we create multiple apartments by creating multiple floors there. That is also a land virtualization concept. That is a land virtualization concept you can say. Same thing is happening in the cloud computing with the help of virtualization and IT technology by using the virtualization. Yeah. So, so the concept of virtualization forms the base for cloud computing. Keep in mind, it is also the base for cloud computing, helping the later deliver shared computing resources via data or software over the network, either as a service or on demand. For example, na, everyone is using Gmail. Each one is getting 15 GB space. So what do you think? They are independent hard disk? No. It's a big storage area. Inside that, they create a virtual space for you. So the cloud use the virtualization to deliver computing services and act independently from each other. It offers automated management, scalability, self-service, and pay-as-you-go capability. One is the infrastructure, then come the virtualization. What the cloud computing is doing is the management, automated management of scalability, self-service, pay-as-you-go capability that we discussed many times in our previous module. Is a last service for the user, where user is doing its work, but backend actual thing is the infra and virtualization. Clear? So if we come here, look, cloud before virtualization, before that infrastructure, virtualization, effective server utilization, maintenance, separated physical infrastructure, infrastructure cost saving. That is done by the virtualization. What the cloud is doing, cloud is giving the service by using this virtualization. A user here sitting somewhere, I can not draw like user, try to make some interactive. User who want to access this part of some part from here. So by using the cloud, user can access whatever the resources available here. Request come here, request come here. Okay, it manage everything. Request go to virtualization. It creates the automatic virtualization. Do the virtualization from this infrastructure and get delivered back to the user as on demand self-servicing. Both are independent components but not interchangeable. Can say now virtualization and cloud is same. No, they're dependent technologies. Finally, they are giving you the cloud technologies. These are the three separate things: infrastructure, virtualization, and then cloud computing that give you the optimum output. So, what we can say now, if we define the virtualization, virtualization is a broad term that refers to the abstraction of resources across many aspects of computing. For our purpose, one physical machine to support multiple virtual machines that run in parallel. That run in parallel. Clear? So we'll discuss more why the virtualization and how the virtualization concept comes. Before virtualization, when we are not using the virtualization, what was the problem we are facing? What was the problem that we was facing before virtualization? Too many servers for too little work. Like to run one application, we need one server. To run another application, we require another server. To require third application, we require third server. Too many servers for small work. But this task can be accomplished now on a single machine with the help of virtualization. Hardware reaching end of usable life, high infrastructure requirement, which task can be accomplished with one server, but before virtualization, we require three or four servers for that, and limited flexibility in shared environment. Okay, so this is the problem we're facing before the virtualization. We will discuss in more depth in our next video. In more detail, I will show you all the things regarding the virtualization. Okay, so I have a lot of things to show you about the virtualization. But for today's session, for this particular session, we discuss about infrastructure. We discuss about virtualization in the basic level. What is a virtualization concept, and how finally we are getting the cloud computing task accomplished with the combination of infrastructure, virtualization, and finally delivering the cloud computing service optimally. So this is about this session that we have completed. So see you in the next session. Then we will discuss in detail about the cloud computing. Okay. So thank you very much. See you in the next session.